plus many other surprises. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gregory Struss!
Yes, polka, polka, polka. Thank you, thank you. Welcome to Scrubs, the talk show. You remember that? They used to always do the single camera with no laughter. Yeah. And before the show, I was talking with John, who's our guest, and he's also working cue cards. And he said, okay, I'm all up and ready for it, but he said, is there going to be anything funny on them? I'm going to try that a little bit. Anyway, welcome to the Greg Show. Thank you so much. Similar to Charlie Rose, minus the big name guests and interesting questions. Yes. You know, kids today, it'd be like, who's Charlie Rose? You know Charlie.
On CBS this morning.
CBS this morning, but I don't think kids are watching that. Anyway, there's many new talk shows premiering this fall season. Ricky Lake, you remember her? Yes, back in the college days. Steve Harvey, The Greg Show, right? Thank you so much. And Katie, starring Katie Couric, which makes NPR programs seem like Sabato Gigante on Univision. Yes. Rumor has it that everyone in Katie's studio audience receives free 5-hour energy drinks in order to stay awake during the taping.
Works for me.
Yeah, it always helps, doesn't it? We don't have that kind of thing. Katie is definitely no Ellen, who is now the queen of daytime television, in my opinion. I bet you come November, Ellen will lick Katie in the ratings. Wow. Yes. And, yes, Katie, because she knows what it takes to be a woman of the 90s. Thank you so much. All right. Regis Philbin, who retired last November from Live with Regis and Kelly, will be returning to daytime in a reoccurring spot on Rachel Ray, where he will share his pudding recipe.
Wow.
You know, senior citizens usually like the pudding. Rachel's next show, how to get that old guy smell out of your chairs. Anyway, great show tonight. We have local artists. Now, this is an old friend of ours back in the day, back in the Dalton days. He is now doing a lot of, are you doing paintings and?
Paintings, illustrations.
Painting, illustrations?
Call me accomplished if you like.
Accomplished. Okay, John Giemzik, a local artist. And incidentally, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, a woman approached me before the show, and she said, I want to capture you on canvas. And I said, are you an artist? She said, no, how about 10 minutes in the Winnebago?
Hello.
Hello. All right. John Giemzik's here. We also have Scotty Joe Vegas. And I'm trying to think what else.
We have no audience. So
We have no audience tonight. My sister had to take care of the nephew, and yeah, we try to make it a family affair. Anyway, I'm Greg. This is The Greg Show, and we are reinventing community television here in the West Side of Chicago beyond and beyond. And we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.
All right.
Seated here real quickly, we have Rich the Enforcer. Let's hear it for Rich the Enforcer. All right, we don't have time. We don't have time to introduce Rich now. We're going to introduce him at a future date when we have some kind of
And on the
segment for him.
25th show.
And on our 25th show coming when? In August, maybe?
Maybe.
Scott's going to do us a song. We're going to have a retrospective of our past 25 shows. It's been a long one.
All right, we are back.
All right.
Thank you so much. We'll do the charity applause.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Scotty Joe Vegas, once again, drove all the way in from Ozony, Wisconsin, and I love it. And like in Michigan, when I was living in Michigan, you could always point like on the hand where people lived. Like, yeah, I was like over here or over here, and I used to always crack the bad joke, you know, near the burn mark or the scabby, you know. So I really didn't understand that whole thing. So in Mosinee, where do you live?
I live in a little town called Lake Dubay, Knowlton. It's a trailer park on the side of the road, but you know, I'm the head red rod there, and they watch out for me. You know.
In what way? Are you gone a lot?
No, I'm usually, if I'm here, you know, and the other areas, other states of gaming and horse racing and women chasing. But I don't know.
I actually met somebody in their 40s who is still married to the same wife. Yes, thank you. I don't know what it is. Like guys that get to be our age have been, married.
I think the women, they check out earlier because they get tired of it, and they're like, they say get out March 2nd, and there you go.
Does it work that way?
Yes, the women get tired.
All right, now I don't want to bring up anything painful, but you've been through it twice. You went through the big wedding the first time.
Oh, beautiful, flaming jubilee,
right.
And the whole thing.
And then you had another wedding the second time.
Yes.
And obviously there was some, the first marriage, for whatever reason, ended.
An acquired taste, yes.
Okay. And how was that compared to like how the second marriage ended? Because you know what, it's like walking down the aisle the first time, I would think is kind of exciting. And you think that, well, you know what, that's probably going to be forever.
Youth,
okay.
unexperienced, friends. Friends shouldn't get married, friends should stay friends.
Okay.
And then when you think you meet somebody that you have a child with, that's a whole different thing. And, you still love the person even though you are divorced because you have to, respect the children. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I got out of that one.
Okay. Anyway, I want to talk about teachers and how important teachers are. At the time that we're doing the show tonight, there's a lot of things going on in Chicago with the Teachers Association. I think it's called CTU, Chicago Teachers Union. And there's a lot of things in the press that people are talking about, saying that teachers are overpaid and blah 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 blah, which really isn't the case because in anything there's like always that 1% of people that are at the top that are making a lot of money, and then it kind of trickles down
to coaches,
right?
And all that.
And the thing is, you played football and sports and was in the what would be the modern day version of Glee, the Glee Club. You were a madrigal. He was a madrigal in high school, and those teachers were people that were special. No, I'm not going to nail you with what.
Because, well, yes, I'm sorry, it's your show.
No. What were you going to say? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
You're saying, like, who is your favorite teacher and stuff like that? Well, there's so many. I mean, there's coaches.
Right.
There's assistants. There's people that, bus drivers. I mean, they all count. They all made an impression.
Right, but they never did an impression of Jerry Vale. But anyway, I don't know who that is.
There's only 4 people in Elmhurst who got that one. Jerry Vale. Okay.
But anyway, teachers are people that can make a difference in our lives. I know that when I was growing up, that, it was a tough time, and there were teachers that were people who really helped me along. I would have never have probably gone on to college, doing other things in my life, had it not been for the people who had, been there for me. There's just a handful of people that, would take the time after school and, you talk about your latest drama.
Ask how your day was going, stuff like that. Gave you a little boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so...
That's class.
Right.
That's class for people.
So what I get really angry about, my mother was a teacher, my sister's a teacher, I had uncles that were teachers, all people, teachers in the family. And what really bothers me is when people start talking about how these teachers are overpaid and they don't work enough, and it's really not the case, because I think when it boils down to it, if you're going to have children, it's up to you to raise them, not a teacher.
Correct.
That's where I come from.
Correct.
All right, so that's my point.
We don't have an audience to clap for that. Yeah! Don't have an audience, but...
So anyway, that's my take on teachers. All right, in this first, now we're going to do a little bit of a
All right,
segue.
right.
In our first season here, on the big mothership, we're doing a lot of things that are kind of talking about our backstory. The Greg Show started years ago, and in various formations. We were in Michigan for a while, did the majority of the show in the south side of Chicago, in Dalton and Riverdale, bicycled to tapes all over the place, and, did almost 200 shows. I ended up moving to Michigan, got the show on the CBS affiliate there. It was a good run, 3 years.
Northwest Indiana.
We were on Northwest Indiana, Channel 56. And there was this one time where, and we don't have this on tape, I've been looking all over. we're getting ready to premiere on Channel 56 in Maryville, Indiana. And now it's all over the place. Comcast carries it and everything. And so we were doing this. Friday Night Football was the big draw. So you and I went out to promote the show. And these people started calling and saying, "Who is that guy? Are you for real?"
They said a lot of bad things.
Excuse me.
Those people on the telephones, they said a lot of mean things to us.
They were very serious.
We had to thank it. Oh, thank you for your contribution.
And for your pledge of $5, we'll give you a baseball cap with a 56 on it.
And that station you only can see on a clear day. Not if it was always static.
Right.
Unless you lived in Maryville.
Right.
Yeah.
So in part of our backstory, there was a time that Scotty Joe Vegas, I was probably part of one of my classes. You were kind enough to come down. Johnny Peach drove down. Johnny Peach was an integral part of our show back in the day too. We put out a call to Johnny, but evidently he's all wrapped. I guess he was putting his convertible top back up and somehow messed up his arm. Is that correct? It was something like that. I probably screwed the story
Might have been
up.
square dancer or something out there in the old babushka.
Right.
Rhythm.
So we have this show. Rod Sell, who was my instructor down at Columbia College back in the day, also went on to. He had a speaking part in Groundhog Day.
Home Alone 2.
On Home Alone 2.
Then he was in Groundhog Day, and then he was on The Untouchables.
Right. So I thought to get some get credit for my studio class that we would bring the show to Columbia College in Chicago. Well, you and Johnny, I guess, evidently got into some kind of disagreement over. I really don't remember what
I
it
think
is.
we were petting the same dog, and it was time to have it out. That's how it all came about. It was just testosterone. Unsophisticated men.
So the week after you came on, we were talking about it, and so they're going to roll it. We're going to look at this thing. I think I set it up all right. So this is Johnny Peach and Scott back in the day having a disagreement.
I had a disagreement with an alcoholic, and he's an okay guy. Don't get me wrong, because everybody needs a break. Him, he needs a break in his arm. But besides that, your dad can't even walk. Your dad can't even walk, buddy. All right. You want us to keep it up? You want me to? All right, wait. We got like a family show here. Oh no! Oh! Vegas doesn't go down! Vegas is forever!
It was Rich. Remember Diamond Dave and Rich?
Yes.
Good guys. I have no idea where they are today. So Johnny, wherever you are, we're hoping that he comes out and I don't know. You guys made up somewhere down the line.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. We're ending on here right now. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming out once again. Anything coming up?
Pleasure, Struss, man.
How are all the games at the casino?
Had a bad week.
Yeah.
But we helped some people. I mean, it was smaller this time. But
all right.
Yeah,
Well, thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you.
And,
I wish I had more to say.
And when we return, we will be visited by, or with, would it be by? Visited by John Giemzik, local artist. And we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.
Here from the Rick, Darla, and Scott Show on New Rock 97.9. Let's welcome Rick, Darla, Scott. How are you? Come here, woman. Give me a hug. How you doing? Just a handshake. Look, I'd like to thank you
you for providing this great air conditioning in the studio. I could cook a turkey in my pants here tonight. God, it's hot up here.
Well, at least you know you have something going on down there.
Right.
Okay, one for him.
Is one moment that kind of stands out.
Recently?
Yeah, recently.
There was a young woman that called us at 9 o'clock in the morning and was a self-proclaimed nymphomaniac, and then chose to prove it over the telephone to us.
And that's as far as I think we should go.
Right.
Yes.
And then she called back the next day and said she had a personality disorder and she had multiple personalities.
Was she Sybil?
With a vibrator.
Yes.
Rick was here before I got here, and he was with two other guys when I joined them, and...
What are we talking about here? We're talking about the show. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the show.
That's what we're talking about?
Be more specific, will you?
I've never been this way, you know, it's like...
And then Scott joined us, and I was exhausted.
Okay, we are back. Thank you. All right, our next guest is a very cutting-edge local artist who will be sharing some of his wares, would you say, with us?
Where's art, psychedelic illustration, whatever you'd like to call it.
Let's say hello to John Giemzik, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, now we were talking in between. We were talking in between.
Very filthy. Well, it's good to see you, by the way.
You too. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, you haven't aged a bit, is what I was gonna say before I got here. But anyway, so how you been? You been good?
I've been doing well.
I'm glad to see the show's back.
Well, thank you. We're working on it, week by week. What do we say? We're a work in progress.
Well, good.
So,
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you. What were you talking about? You said you had no memories of when we never really palled around, but we were like these people that occasionally would run into each other.
Well, we were in the same circles, but I was on the outskirts, and yeah, you were. I was always a tag along, or I didn't have anything to do with the show. I didn't work a camera like a lot of guys did. You never invited me, basically. You saw me in the hall every day, and that was about it.
And we break them in early. Yeah, you could work the camera.
Yeah, cue cards today. John, you're working the cue cards. Thanks for being a guest. All right.
We like to get maximum, maximum value out of the people that come
Well,
here.
good. I'm glad to do it. I learned something new.
Well, let's talk about your art. Now, you've been doing this, you do this full time, correct?
Yeah, I do it. Well, actually, I do other things.
You do
I
other things.
but the art, working on full time.
Do they involve a pen cap?
Nice inside joke, and sometimes they do. And a ball gag, whatever you like. But anyway, so sometimes the art I've been doing since the mid '90s. So that's probably when I started. I had nothing going on. I was living in Blue Island, and I walked by Walgreens. I bought myself a big poster board, a bunch of markers, and went to town. And then it just spawned from that. I just realized it was what I was here to do.
Well, like Blue Island is an inspiration in itself because it's like between nothing and nothing. You have like the Calumet River, and then you have Blue Island.
It's such an industrial, cool little wasteland. I mean, it's like a little, cool anchor suburb. You know, it's Beverly's to the north of it, and then, and then it goes to hell in the south, honestly. But it's a nice. Sorry, I know you live in Dixmoor. I apologize.
Dixmoor.
Not a bad town. I like Dixmoor.
All right, so mid '90s, you're doodling, and is that what you call it, doodle? Were you a Yankee Doodle, or is this just a doodle?
I was a dandy.
Oh, dandy. Okay.
Yeah. So, doodling. So it started with I was drinking a lot. Didn't have nothing going on. No girl. No nothing. I had a little tiny apartment, smaller than the studio, if you could believe that. And the studio is actually bigger than the apartment.
It really is. Yes.
It's not a bad studio, bigger than the Dalton one. But I had nothing going on, and I was just drinking a lot, sitting in my apartment. I decided to save money, stop going to the bar, sit at home, draw, drink, do my thing, and it just sort of rolled out. And like you said, what I was surrounded with in Blue Island was actually kind of cool for an artist. Lots of industry, lots of trains, lots of things going down, lots of bar fights, lots of weird things happening.
But you weren't really you weren't really a scrapper.
Oh no, I've always been a lover. You know that. You know that.
So with the doodling and everything else, did you find that, and a lot of creative people never really, I mean, we talk about I'm sorry, as I spit on you, the creative process and how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think was a defining moment in your creative process that you decided to, try this out?
Not only that, because I don't know what the defining moment was. I just had like an epiphany walking by a drugstore one time that I wanted to pick up. I've always been a doodler, as you say. Yeah, it's since I was a young child, and never thought much of it. And then after I picked up that poster board, and what I actually did create was something I thought was actually really cool, and I actually enjoyed and liked to look at. I decided to keep going with it, and then the energy just evolved, and then I realized that's just what I'm here for, So that's how it worked for me.
Thank you, Scott.
Wow. Boy, this guy I like that mullet and that old tape he had. He had a heck of a mullet going on there. I never saw one like it. Right. Quite a good mullet.
And
really good mullet.
All right, so you did your first drawing. Do you remember what it was? Did you keep it?
Oh, I still have it. It's framed and it's not for sale. But I mean, by what I'm doing today, standards, obviously, it's very it's pretty weak as far as technique is concerned and stylistically. But it's still good enough to keep for me, and something I'm going to hopefully pass on to my child for sure. And then he'll probably sell it at a flea market. But still, he'll have it for a little while.
Will it become like one of those? What was it? The velvet Elvis paintings or whatever? Isn't that what they used to have? Elvis and
Velvet Elvises?
Velvet Elvises. I've never seen one.
You've never seen a Velvet Elvis?
Never.
Come on.
I would love to have one.
Me too. I have had blacklight posters. I assume it's like that, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Austere. Is it austere? Isn't it austere is an artistic
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I don't either. All right, so you move on to your second drawing. What was that like compared to the first
after that it was just a snowball. Roll a snowball down a hill, watch it grow, you know what I'm saying? Just boom, boom, boom. I did 6 pieces in a row. By 2002, I was showing at galleries. So yeah, that was mid-90s. Moved all over the place. I lived on the north side of the city, lived in various parts of in and around Chicago. And then I just kept going, finished 6 pieces at once, doing gallery shows downtown. Then, suburbs, Northwest Indiana. I now show in Milwaukee. I show wherever I can show, and it's going well now.
And is it really time consuming, or are you able to do it like that?
The artwork itself?
Yeah.
Well, the example we have sitting behind, that took me 2 years, so I'd say, yeah, pretty time consuming.
Wow.
So yeah, it took quite a while.
All right.
That's just like 5 hours a week or whatever I could get in when I was working full time, doing lots of blue collar work. Come home, work on that.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look at some of your work. Now, are you one of these people, before we break, I want to ask you this. Are you one of these people that can start on one drawing and then do like 2 or 3 and then come back to the one? Do you work that way sometimes?
That's exactly how I work. I'm working on 12 right now. So
wow.
Yeah, that's how I work. I get bored with something or I lose the flow, move on, go back to it.
Scott was talking about a flow too earlier, but I don't know if it pertained to art.
I was
when we come back, we will take a look at some of John's artwork and talk a little bit more about art in general when we come back in just a moment. Thank you.
But we are best friends
made up now? Okay, that's good. We'll meet you guys out.
No, Greg. We're not going to beat you. We're going to destroy you.
Okay.
I'll hand the microphone over to you now. The commentary. Here's the unknown teacher.
Okay, here we are, folks. This is the ho-ho eating contest. I assume it's 2 against 2. It'd be rather unfair to go the other way around. And we ready? I don't know.
You have to say on your marks, get set, go.
Okay, on your marks. Get set, go. And here they're reading. Let's see, we've got 2 people going right away. One guy's over here to... Oh, hey, that's a good way to stuff that. We're done, and Ken and Greg are still... Oh, look at that mess they've got there. Good heavens.
Get off me, buddy. No, you're phony. I don't want to hear it.
He doesn't want to hear it.
You're scrubs.
Yes. Well, let Greg talk a little bit. Okay, we're going to go away. We'll go back to the studio now, and as soon as Greg gets himself put together and he can talk without all those ho-ho in his mouth.
All right, we are back. I wanted to try these glasses on. They were saying I can't see anything. All right, we want to talk about your website. We're with John Giemzik.
All right.
And what is the website?
It's www.jagii.com. And you could pick up some prints. You could pick up some T-shirts.
But it's really for information on your work, right?
I see. Actually, yeah, there's a full gallery there of all my work. There's lots of you can see what I do. There's explanations. There's my bio. You can take a good look around.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about some of your work. We were looking at.
This. Oh, here's this one's called Blue Fool's Paradise. Just a great example of how I've grown as far as technique is concerned. My trade, one of the things I do is I morph faces together.
Okay.
This is a great example of that. Things grow into other faces and into eyes and into faces, into teeth, into breast, into everything.
Is this a modern day version of Where's Waldo? I mean, can we find him in here somewhere?
And can I tell you how much I hate when people say that?
I know, isn't that insulting? The guy spends like all this time. I didn't mean it that way.
2 years and Waldo's right here.
No.
I'll do this one as the last one.
And here I thought I was being original.
What does this look like? This one's titled Closet Killer. And it's inspired by my son. My son's 5 years old, and a couple years ago he started getting afraid of monsters in his closet under his bed. So one night after tucking him in 3 times because he kept getting out of bed, I said, I went downstairs and this kind of came out. It took me a few weeks to do, but the premise was there. So I put this in his closet now. He loves it.
So for punishment, like when you were doing it, did you put it above his bed when he went to bed?
Yeah, on his top bunk bed. I put it right over him.
That's really neat. So this took you how long to do?
You know, this one took a few weeks. This was certainly inspired. I had an idea in my head already, and the longest was, of course, the detail in the middle with all the maze action. But otherwise, it was acrylic paint, ink, and a lot of splattering.
Did he have the measles, or is that blood?
That's blood. That's real blood. Real Kiss Army blood.
Wow.
Not Kiss Army blood.
All right, and then you got another one here.
Sure. This one is called Saline Seekers. Obviously, they all have bloodshot eyes. Just another great example of technique. This more black and white, great contrast with the eyes, and the deep dark tones in there.
And what do you find? You know, like time wise, what did this take?
You know what? Hour wise, maybe 30, 40, maybe even 50 hours. But yeah, it's very therapeutic for me. I'll just sit there and I won't stop. Just do it all night until I'm told that it's way late. So yeah, it's really time consuming, but I think it's therapeutic for me.
All right, and then you have.
Oh, lastly, wait! I wanted to give you this. Thank you for having me on your show, Greg.
Thanks for.
It's a signed print. That looks called Airborne.
Oh, look at that!
I hope you enjoy it. Put it in your bathroom or something. Think of me.
Thank you so much. I like that. What do you call this?
That one's called Airborne. It's the premise is I was listening to a lot of talk radio when they were talking about airborne diseases and stuff. So I went in the basement and I drew myself my own airborne disease. So I hope you enjoy it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's really nice. I like it. Even autographed it too. All right. Before we go, I want to thank Mike came out tonight and to help us out. And I thought it was really nice. And last week, Randy was with us. These are guys that used to work with us years ago. And this has just been a lot of fun. This whole show has been nothing but fun. I mean, when I laugh, I am genuinely laughing. And in between our breaks, it's even funnier. So I really appreciate you coming out, Mike, and everybody else who's working on the show right now. And John, thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Great time.
Glad that things are going well with you. And Scotty Joe Vegas, thank you for coming out. This is Greg Struss. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night.